Chapter 1. The Summoning of the Horsemen. In the shadowed corners of the world, where whispers of the end times had long been spoken, the air grew thick with anticipation. The ancient prophecy, inscribed on the brittle pages of the Revelation, foretold a day when the 7 seals would be broken, heralding the final chapter of humanity's saga. That day had come. High above the mortal realm, in the celestial court that governed the fates of men and angels alike, a hushed silence fell. The time had arrived for the Lamb, pure and unblemished, to step forward. With a grace that belied the gravity of the act, the Lamb reached out and, with a touch both gentle and irrevocable, broke the first seal. A thunderous sound echoed through the heavens and the earth, as if the very fabric of creation recognized the significance of the moment. From the depths of the celestial plain, a figure emerged, riding upon a white horse. His presence was commanding, his gaze piercing, and in his hand he held a bow. He was Conquest, the first of the Four Horsemen, and his arrival marked the beginning of the end. As the Lamb broke the second seal, a rider on a red horse burst forth, wielding a great sword that thirsted for conflict. War, the second horseman, rode out with a fury that set the skies ablaze, igniting the hearts of men to turn against one another in violent strife. The third seal fell away at the Lamb's continued resolve, and with it came a rider on a black horse. In his hand he carried a pair of scales, and as he passed, famine followed. Crops withered, and food became scarce, plunging the world into despair and hunger. Finally, the fourth seal was undone, and a pale horse appeared, its rider named Death. Hades trailed close behind, claiming the souls of those who fell to his brethren. Pestilence, war, and famine had paved the way for the last horseman, and he reaped the lives of the remaining with cold impartiality. The summoning of the horsemen was not merely an event, it was a transformation of the world as it had been known. The breaking of the seals had set in motion forces that could not be undone. The horsemen rode out, unchallenged by mortal hands, their steeds thundering across the land and sky, leaving trails of chaos in their wake. As the horsemen fulfilled their grim duties, the people of the earth could only watch in horror and pray for salvation. Prophets and preachers, once ridiculed for their apocalyptic warnings, now found their words heeded by terrified masses. But it was too late for prayers to reverse what had been set in motion. The Lamb, with sorrow in its eyes, prepared to break the 5th seal, and the world braced for further calamities. The opening of the 7 seals had begun, and with it, the final countdown to the end of days. The horsemen were but the heralds of greater tribulations to come, and their summoning foretold the unraveling of the very threads of existence. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and the celestial beings watched in silence, knowing that the trials of the apocalypse were upon them all. Chapter 2. The Prelude to Silence. As the echoes of the horsemen's passage faded into a haunting stillness, the world held its breath. The Lamb, with a sorrow that seemed to stretch across eternity, turned to the 5th seal. Its breaking was not accompanied by the thunderous fanfare of its predecessors. Instead, a profound silence enveloped the heavens and the earth, a quiet so deep it was as if creation itself was mourning. In this prelude to silence, the souls of martyrs began to stir. They had been slain for their unwavering faith, their spirits residing beneath the altar of the Most High. With the breaking of the 5th seal, they were given white robes and told to rest a little longer until the number of their fellow servants and brethren who were to be killed as they had been was completed. Their cries for justice, once a whisper, now rose in a chorus that pierced the heavens, a solemn reminder of the sacrifices made in the name of faith. The world, already reeling from the devastation wrought by the horsemen, found itself grappling with an internal struggle. The silence forced many to confront the darkness within their own hearts, the seeds of greed, hatred, and betrayal that had contributed to the planet's downfall. It was a time of reflection, of repentance, and for some, a time of spiritual awakening. As the Lamb reached for the sixth seal, the silence was shattered by the trembling of the earth. The ground heaved and mountains moved from their places. The sun turned black as sackcloth, and the moon became like blood. Stars fell from the sky, and the heavens receded like a scroll being rolled up. Every island and mountain was removed from its place, and the kings of the earth, the great men, the rich men, the commanders, the mighty men, every slave, and every free man hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountains. They called to the mountains and rocks, "Fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath has come, and who is able to stand?" The terror of the Lord's judgment was upon them, and the illusion of their power and control was shattered like glass upon stone. In the midst of this cataclysm, the seventh seal remained, its opening a harbinger of the final judgments. The celestial beings, who had watched the unfolding of events with a somber gravity, now prepared themselves for what was to come. The silence that had followed the fifth seal was but a brief interlude before the storm, a moment of calm before the tempest of divine retribution would be unleashed. The prelude to silence was over, and the world, now irrevocably altered, awaited the sounding of the trumpets that would herald the end of the end. The Lamb, the executor of the divine will, stood ready to break the final seal, and with it, to reveal the ultimate fate of creation. The Lamb, with a solemnity that resonated through the cosmos, approached the seventh seal. Its guardians, the seraphim and cherubim, stood in silent reverence, their wings unfurled in a gesture of both honor and mourning. With a touch that seemed to carry the weight of all creation, the Lamb broke the final seal, and a hush fell upon the universe. In this sacred silence, the heavens opened, and the celestial trumpets prepared to sound. Yet, before their clarion call could ring out, a profound peace descended. It was as if the very breath of the divine swept across the chaos, whispering promises of redemption and renewal. From the throne of the Almighty, a river of light began to flow, washing over the earth, cleansing it of its scars and sorrow. The horsemen, their purpose served, vanished into the brilliance, their shadows dissolving in the purity of the light. The martyrs, clothed in white, rose to join the heavenly host, their voices joining in a hymn of hope. The kings and mighty men, once cowering in fear, emerged from their hiding places, their eyes open to a new dawn. The sun, restored to its full glory, shone upon a world reborn. The moon reflected the light of 1,000 stars, now fixed in their rightful place in the firmament. And in this moment of divine grace, humanity, humbled and awestruck, understood the depth of mercy that had been bestowed upon them. They gathered, not in temples made by hands, but in the open embrace of the world itself, united in a covenant of love and stewardship. The final seal had been broken, but it was not an end. It was a beginning, a testament to the resilience of life and the boundless compassion of the Creator. Silence had been the prelude, but now, life would be the everlasting song.